Dimeji Falana, BSc in Computer Science and MBA Business Administration, the University of Chester, United Kingdom, a tech entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in software and digital innovation development for banks, universities, and governments. He has mentored and led various generations of software developers on over 20 software projects successfully with tech skills. He has traveled to over 20 countries, including North America, Asia, Africa, and Europe, where he has spoken and attended conferences, exhibitions, boot camps, and workshops in education technology and startup business growth programs. Make welcome to reInvent Conference 2025, Dimeji Falana.
Once again, Pastor, please, thank you for the invitation. I consider it's a great honor. Thank you. I've been invited to speak on a topic that is very close to my heart, which is about education, empowering the future and leveraging education technology innovations to accelerate personal and professional growth. There are quite a number of things I would have loved to share today, but times and seasons come, and we don't have the whole day. I'll go straight to the point. I might share 2 points. I'm not used to using the entire time that I've been given to speak. So I'll go straight to the point, and I believe that the Lord that has been here before us will share something in your hearts and become fruitful in Jesus' name. Let me see if my slide is working. I grew up as a child in Osun State, Nigeria, 30 minutes from Ibadan. And we used to create our own toys because we had so little. The economy of the place and the background didn't give us enough. So we used to create our own toy. I created one toy and I missed the toy 30 minutes before my session. I don't know where it is. I wanted to show you an example of it. And I have some on my slide. Let me see if you can see them. Many of you here might have created something like this before. Oh, WhatsApp group members. Any WhatsApp group members there? Thank you. We call it Boris. There's something missing. Who can tell me? Oh, and then you use your leg to hold the wall. So we used to create this. And I have another one here. That's like a jagbe, like very long vehicle. And even in the school, our teachers, they used to encourage us to build crafts and bring them to school. And if you bring the most innovative ones, you get good grades. And that was how I grew up. I was so surprised that, oh, I brought this on. It's my fan. I was so surprised that when I was preparing, I spoke to a couple of colleagues in Lagos, people that grew up in Lagos, that, did you do all these things? They said, no. I said, I spoke to people that grew up in the town and villages. They said, yeah, we did it with this kite, we did this. But what happened to the city? We were building our own toys. They were buying toys for you in the city. What happened? So, something began to happen. We had one brother then. His name is Brother Fatai. I want to control this myself, yes. He bought a VHS, and then we stopped some of our projects. And then we'll go and watch the video. We won't even have time. We won't even have chance to enter into the sitting room. We'll be watching from the window. So we just, started losing those vibes because the video was taking our attention away gradually from creativity, from innovation. And even in the school, we discovered that our teachers, they will tell us that just bring the broom, the biggest broom, we have the highest score. Don't do too much, just bring the brooms. So we'll just go and get the big brooms and then have the score. You are there. A lot of WhatsApp group members are here. So they will give us scores, and we started losing the ability to innovate and think gradually. This is one of the realities of the African child today. When we used to innovate when we were young, we used to create what we needed. But after a period of time, we started getting money to pay for what we could create. And in other parts of the world, I won't mention name because I'm not here to promote any country. They kept on building what they needed rather than buying what they needed. So, there's a saying that by the year 2050, Africa, or maybe 2075, Africa will produce about 30% of the global workforce. Have you seen it before somewhere? Oh, okay. By World Bank. And I was just thinking that if Africa is going to produce this number, who are those people that will go and, be among those 30% in this age and time when we are not innovating anymore? All we will just think about is that, Daddy, I need toy, Mommy, I will just buy toys for them. That's all. And even most of our national exams were graded based on scores, A1, A2, and that's all. JAM, when I was writing JAM, it was, you need to get 200 over 400 before you can get to university. But we moved to 180, now 140. And it became worse. So I was just thinking, and that made me to come to a conclusion that 30% might not happen again. And these are my reasons. Number one, we are no longer innovating. Number two, artificial intelligence has come to take away so many jobs. And I've met a couple of software engineers that have even lost their jobs because AI is now writing codes for organizations. So it's no longer a thing like I'm a tech person. No, AI is writing good code, And cloud computing, parallel programming, everything makes sense. But we now have quantum computing, who can do like times 10 or times 100 of speed of the normal computer we use now. So it is becoming something that we're just lying to ourselves if we think our children will go and do those jobs. AI, quantum computing, will do those jobs. So what's the way forward? What do we do? And to now make it worse, we now see trade wars. We hear of tariffs, America against China. Thank you, sir. I said it. You watch my back. Thank you. America against China. Canada, tariff wars here and there. And then the borders, immigration rules are getting tougher and stronger. So it is becoming to your tent, O Israel, don't you think? So we need to think about skills. We need to think about creating things that we need. And I have just two things to share on how we can create things that we need, how we can get back to it, creating things that we need. The number one thing I have here is that the urgency in skill revolution. I don't want to put anybody on spot today, but I just want you to know that if you are here, you have not created anything you have been using since the beginning of this year. You are part of my congregation this evening because your family needs to have created something that you are living on. Even toothpaste. You should be able to create toothpaste. You should be able to create toothbrush. You should be able to sew your clothes or make a shoe. You should be able to create something that other families will come and buy. You know, the number one issue about business growth is actually the gap in the skill sets. The fact that the employers are unable to pay you the salary when it happened, it was painful, very, very bad, but it's like an accumulated learning gaps that were not filled over time that affected your employer from paying you the salary. According to Udemy report in this 2025, skill gap. So it is urgent. We have to do something about it. And when I was preparing, I prayed to God, our Lord, let there be something that will steer people up today. That when you go home, you might not like me, but there will be something that will not make you rest. That I just have to create something. Even if you can't do it, those children that are doing something at home, you support them to create. Even just to learn how to bake bread, and then you share with your neighbor, and next time you sell to them at a subsidized amount. Just to create something. And you try to make it times 2 every year. In 5 years, it becomes a big bakery. Just to create something. You know, we talk about training, we talk about accelerating our skills, yet we still use the inefficient, traditional way of learning. We all know those traditional ways of learning. Certificates, grades, and that's all. And also, sometimes when we learn, we find it difficult to practicalize our knowledge, to validate them, even if the employer say, go and learn something and come back. Sometimes we might not have a safe environment that trusts us to practicalize what we have learned. So it's still going to result in the gap in the skills. 50% of the employees, as reported by the World Economic Forum, that this year, 50% of all of us that were working here need to be skilled again. We need to be skilled again. And it was said in 2020, before AI came to full swing. Artificial intelligence has been there since 1955, and it comes, it goes, but it has come to stay. Do you know why? The generative AI has the power. Any deity, entity, any institution that has the power to create will stand the test of time. So, if in 2020, the World Economic Forum said 50% of all of us needs to be retrained again. Now we have AI. How many of us need to be retrained again? How many? All of us. There's a solution. I don't like talking about the problem without solution. The solution is building absorptive capacity. What do I mean by that? That capacity took China from third world to first world. Ability to transform knowledge, raw knowledge, into projects, into action. Many of us here, we can actually describe how to do so many things. When you hear manifestos of politicians, they will describe so many things. We'll do this, but having that capability to actually bring it to life, most times is missing. So we need to go back to that capability. And it is through what? Project-based learning. Everybody, project-based learning. Some people are not here. Again, we live in a world that is governed by projects. This conference is a project. The clothes that I put on when they were making it, it was a project. The food you want to eat this evening, project. At the place of work, you want to run a business campaign, project. Feedback for this conference, project. Everything, project. Just like the way we saw creation of toys as project. Project-based learning. You know, when I was in the university, I read computer science, and for 4 years, we never went to lab. No coding, nothing. In fact, when I was in third year, I took a course called database. And even before then, I've been using database to build so many software. And I had D in that course because the lecturer asked me, design a database that will do this, do this. He was expecting me to write a table. And I wrote SQL, and he gave me D. And that SQL, if you actually type it into SQL machine, it will run. But I got a D. But I kept on building projects. I'll tell you a little bit of my story towards the end. But what I mean by project-based learning is that when you are learning something, begin to create something out of it, even before you understand everything. That is project-based learning. You can actually use project-based learning from kindergarten all the way to PhD. So that at the end of the day, let's even say primary 4, a child in primary 4 is learning using project-based learning. In 1 year, 1 project. 5, 1 project. 6, 1 project. By the time the child is going to GSS classes, 3 projects already. Let's say project-based learning all through senior secondary schools. That is 6. Before the guy will go into the university, there are how many projects? 8 projects already. Now going into the university, you see a lot. And when project-based learning is now adopted in our universities, there won't be a situation of copying thesis. Like you just drop another person's work to just pass 400 level and then enter the labor market. Exam malpractice will even just die naturally because it is not just going to be based on grade, it will be based on what you can do. National curriculum is beautiful, but the way it's being delivered is just write notes. Just write notes and then pour it back. I had a lot of E in my 100 level because I would want to write things back the way I've understood it. And my lecturer didn't like it. So it was one of our, said, don't do that again. Just give them the same way they gave to you. And I started having A. So when I discovered, I said, hey, that is it, no problem. And I kept on giving them. So project-based learning is about connecting the dots when you are learning and then creating something out of it. There's no way you get to an examination hall and then they will ask you to describe something, and it won't be from your own personal experience of that thing that you have created. And we need to, I know government officials might be listening. We need to change how we admit students into the universities and tertiary schools. It shouldn't just be grades alone. WAEC is good, UTME is good in quotes, no problem. But there should be addition to that. Throughout the secondary school, let the child bring out a project that he or she has done, present it, score it, make the score to be 50-50 in an interview, and then use that to admit. So that it won't just be a situation of just have 200, I know the admission officer, and then you enter the university. We won't help the nation that way. What I'm saying today, they are not here. They might not be hearing me. Some of them are hearing me, but they still want to continue the status quo. But what I want to do today is that let heaven bear me witness. I said my own. This is the 14th year I've been building software in education. We have clients in 11 countries. We have touched the life of over 700,000. I said my own. So, project-based learning can build problem-solving skill by 30%. Just use your hand to create something out of what you are learning. Somebody might be thinking that, oh, you're just talking about STEM skill. I'm not even saying STEM alone. I am saying even if you are in the arts class and you are learning conflict resolution, sit down and build a project and create a simulation of how you can solve conflict in South Sudan or something and present it to your lecturer and present it to your family to say, I have a way in which you can solve this problem. That's a project. You understand? You have to do something about what you're learning. The moment you can't do something about what you are learning, you forget. Because according to Dr. Carl, he wrote a book. He said, How Learning Happens. He said, learning happens when you are able to connect the priority knowledge to what you are doing right now and then connect the two together. And how you can connect the two together, that is not just going to happen here, but will happen here and here, is project-based learning. I think I can say I'm qualified as a teacher today. I'll give you homework. Go back to your organization. Maybe if you have clients, if you work in the customer service department, or if you don't work there, if you're an engineer, just reach out to your colleagues that have data on customer complaints in the last 2 weeks. Read those complaints, and then do research on how you can avoid them. Go back to your line manager, make a presentation on how you can avoid them. If he takes it, fine. If he doesn't take it, fine. You've done something. How many of you would do that? Thank you. You do it. You do it. Thank you. Any other person? 3 people. 4, 5. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is project-based learning. You are learning. You still don't figure it out yet, but you are doing something about it. Then the second thing is supercharge organization growth with AI. Don't worry, I won't talk about co-pilot and all those stuff and how people use it to cheat in the university and all those stuff. No. What I want to talk about is that AI has reduced the cost for training by 40%. And is going to improve your productivity by 35%. So the moment you want to venture into a new business, you have an advantage of 40% in training, because you don't even need to know everything, because knowledge has expanded. You can go to GPT and say, describe to me how to make a car. And believe me, there's one called Grok. It will even write for you, you'll be tired, and you will even say, stop. It's there. But what we need to do now is, how can we be productive with the knowledge that is available? How can we be productive? And that is according to Harvard Business Review. I didn't write it in 2022. That 35% cost. 35% opportunity, saving time for training, and also productivity, 35%. In 2018, I was invited to, win an award in Switzerland, and also I was invited to speak at the same conference. I sat down with a man called Professor Perret. He's a professor from EPFL, Lausanne, in Switzerland. And we were there on the stage. He threw a question at us. Tell us about artificial intelligence. That was 2018. And at that time, we built something that was actually close to generative AI. We used rank brain algorithm from Google, where teachers can actually go on the system and say, let me create a lesson plan, and it will create something. But it was very expensive that time. So they knew about it, so they asked me to join the panel beside a professor. And I listened to the professor. The way he described AI, he said there are two major things about AI. The data at one side, very good, and then the second one, most powerful one, is what? The algorithm. The algorithm now is ruling our world. Those that are YouTubers here knows when to post. They study when to post, that they will get the viewership that will give them the pay. Anybody here? Algorithms. Banks now use AI algorithms to forecast. Education, AI algorithm improving teaching and learning. Agri, different sector. So that makes me to conclude that, Professor Perret was right. And I now made my own prediction that in the next 5 years, the global GDP growth of every, maybe country or collectively, will depend on the algorithm. I'm telling you. Because everything now is leveraging AI. I have case studies here I will share with you, just 2 case studies, and then I will close. Many of us know the AI, but yet we still don't use the AI the way we're supposed to be using them. Many of us are fighting it. Keep fighting. I'm telling you, keep fighting. You can never win. You can never win. If you're an educator, you might be thinking, we work with teachers. They will tell us, it will make us lazy. It will make students lazy. Change the way you assess the students. Don't ask questions. Describe animal cell. Animal cell is this. GPT will do it for them, and then. But can you tell them to draw animal cell? Are you getting me? Identify a part in the animal cell that is doing this. How can you link that one up to, if you cut tomato into half? Getting them to think. and let them describe that. We need to change all our national examinations. I don't want to go deep into that because many people might think, no, Dimeji, no. I said it. We cannot keep testing the students the way we've been testing them and expect better outcomes. No. Don't ask them what GPT can do for them. Ask them what, even in Christianity, the epignosis, experience of God. What they have experienced in what you have taught them, and let them put it down in their own way. Homework number 2. I know some students are not good students here. Homework number 2. Think about your last, blocker, bottleneck you have at place of work. Different places of work, we have bottlenecks. You run a campaign, it's not working. You want to ship a product, it's not coming out. You promise a client, you are not meeting up with that. It keep recurring. Think about those bottlenecks, and then go to GPT and ask questions on how you can fix those bottlenecks. You'll be shocked the kind of responses you get. Sometimes I will use AI, and my wife will say, "Dimeji, you're not using your brain again." I say, "Yeah, I'm using my brain actually because I'm creating the right prompt. I'm creating the right prompt." Oh, okay, you can clap then. Clap. Clap! Thank you. So how do we implement AI and project-based learning in business? Oh, there are just a lot of ways. I try to discipline myself so that I won't just say too much because there are just a lot I can say. And I know somebody will be thinking here, you use AI to generate all those things you are saying. I actually use AI for my support. Disclaimer, but I use AI to get references and data that is in line with my own experience so that I can share impactfully. First, for business, we need to identify gaps. A lot of organizations, CEOs, big CEOs, they don't even know how to go about using AI. They keep asking that question. How can AI help our organization? How can AI help organization? So first, you need to identify the skill gap you have. I told my colleague, my co-founder, that we are not going to hire for some roles again because AI has come in. So we just continue that way for now and let's see what happens. So we need to identify the gaps that AI can fill, and we need to identify the organization bottleneck because we are talking about personal growth and professional growth, okay? So if you want to grow professionally, you solve problems. Am I right, sir? You solve problems. If you want to be promoted, you solve problems. You solve problems. You shine your lights. So now, the next one is pilot AI and use it to do something about those challenges you have and adopt project-based learning. So you need to encourage every employer or your colleagues to engage those problems. One of the things that I was just thinking when I was praying that you don't even need to do too much of thinking about this thing. As I'm talking to you, if you are into real estate, you are talking to a client and the client is not responding to you again. Type something into GPT or Copilot and ask question, how can I handle this? You get it. It means you started something. A bottleneck is that you want to close a deal. You understand? You've identified it. You don't know how to close the deal. That's the gap. Then you call AI to help you. And then you get the suggestion. Even though you can make mistakes, but the mistakes have been reducing over time. If you notice. How many of you have noticed? The mistakes have been reducing because they get better over time. So, the second place where you can adopt AI and project-based learning is in education. I love education. In schools. Teachers, educators, Ministry of Education need to use AI. National curriculum is actually a legal document for the country. So you can't change the national curriculum until it is changed from the ministry. But what you can change is how you deliver them. Curriculum is the documentation of what to teach, what to teach, and to whom will receive it. But pedagogy is how to deliver it. The methodology of how to teach. And there are several ways, several pedagogies, methodologies on teaching. But most of the times, the teachers that taught us, they only know one thing. write the note on the board, explain if they understand or not, walk away. Some schools, private schools, fantastic. They've been doing great job because we work with them. Over 2,000 private schools are using our solution. We work with them, we know them. They've gone beyond that level. They are now using 21st century pedagogies. So I want to send you to the private school of your children. Ask the school director, which pedagogy are you using to teach my son or my daughter? If they cannot explain pedagogy to you, pause. Pause. Because it means they don't even know what is happening in that sector. And there are so many of them that will answer you. I have some of my clients, I visited them today. In fact, I wanted to invite some of them here. Fantastic schools in Port Harcourt and all over different places. And even in public schools, we now see teachers that are now understanding different ways of teaching. Someone that wants to teach a child that has autism, a child that doesn't sit down, attention hyperactivity disorder. There are ways to teach students that have these issues. But in some of the schools, they just turn them to be, they know no book and they know no how. They will sit at the back because they don't know it. They don't want teachers to call their names. And they are suffering from something, either autism or, different things. So, AI can help a teacher who has not gotten that training on how to teach a child like that. AI can help that teacher to know how to teach those children, even without any training. So, case study number 1. Artificial intelligence has been used by Siemens. Siemens is a company in Germany, very big conglomerate. They make gas turbine. They design gas turbine. And they had a challenge. Some of their engineers, they were having issue meeting up with deadlines. They couldn't meet up with demands. So they leverage AI from GPT and NVIDIA. So they use AI to actually create over 100 turbine designs within 1 hour. Something that would take several engineers to do in several weeks. So they design hundreds of those variations within 1 hour. So that's the case study here. And if it's helping a company that is that complex, so what are you doing in your own business that is that complex that AI cannot help you? All you need to do is to reach out to the right partner, ask the right question, and then you get the right support that you need. Case study number 2. In Enugu State, one of our clients in the public sector is Enugu State. When I met the governor in 2023, he told us that he wants to grow the GDP of the state, and he wants to do that through education. He wants to grow the skill, and he wanted to use experiential learning, which is a form of project-based learning. So, we looked at the curriculum for them, and then we built artificial intelligence machine to use 12 different styles of teaching to support the teacher. So that if you want to teach in basic science, any topic in basic, any subject in basic science, any topic, energy, you want to teach energy, GSS1 basic science, you can actually teach the students in your class using 12 different styles, using AI. We built it for them. And they are scaling that service all across the 260 smart schools in the states. So watch out for Enugu State. The first state to adopt artificial intelligence in education. And Anambra has started, we are launching Anambra next week. So talk to your governor. Pray for them. Don't criticize them. So in conclusion, if Siemens could use AI to create Urbana, Enugu State and Anambra State, they are using AI in education. So you should be able to think of how you can be brave in using AI, because we are talking about leading bravely. And being brave means you do what ordinary people might think you will not be able to do, or maybe what people are running away from. Just run towards it and get it done. So, the future belongs to those who want to take action. Tomorrow is too late. Thank you.